He's too young for that reference.
Yo, real talk.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's recording now because I always have to put it on to see how long it takes before Chris actually gets his camera on.
I just heard him. Oh, there he is.
There he goes. He's always there. I have the suit on, get your ass nigga, that just flew back from Houston. They're interviewing every black coach, every possible person that's a couple shades darker than Enrique, trying to keep Deshaun Watson in Houston. So
they already signed a black coach.
Yeah, but they signed the black coach, and Watson immediately said, "I still want out." So they're trying to make the staff as black as possible. So I went down there, interviewed for the QB coach. Let's get this going here, Houston Texans. I was going to wear a hat, but it blends. Look, there you go. I was going to go with the old school Houston.
Houston Oilers. Oilers.
One quick question to that. Are we assuming that Deshaun Watson wants a black coach, or did he actually say, I want a black coach?
He actually said he wanted a black coach. He named him Eric Bieniemy.
Well, he was pissed that they didn't hire Louis Riddick or Bieniemy, so that's when he decided to request a trade. So I guess the Texans thought, oh, we got to bring in a black dude, and they hired a light-skinned black guy. And then Deshaun Watson called Schefter and said, "Release the news that I want to trade."
No, they didn't bring in like a gangster black dude or anything. He
did coach in Baltimore. That's about as black as you can get.
The city is. But
didn't they film The Wire in Baltimore?
Yeah, but that's way far from the stadium. That's like saying,
that's right where the stadium's at, bro.
It's like saying that the Dolphins play in Sistrunk, or actually Sistrunk's getting gentrified now, or down in the Pork and Beans projects. But no, Houston is they're scrambling now because they screwed up that whole situation. Deshaun Watson early. I mean, you have one star. You gave away the other one. You said you couldn't pay him, whatever. DeAndre Hopkins gave him away for peanuts. You got one star left, and you decide not to treat him nice, or at least listen to him.
Well, they better trade J.J. Watt too, because he's going to go in there and wreck everybody.
But the other thing, Watt's at the end of his career, though. I mean,
he's already pissed.
Yeah,
he's at the end. This is Deshaun Watson's just now starting to get into what is supposed to be his prime years, and you squandered it by making some stupid moves.
So where do you think he's going to go?
Watson? That was the early one that said that the list was going to be that's where he wanted to go was New York. That makes sense because they have trade pieces to get him.
They have no.
Say it again?
Yeah, they have no playmakers.
The Jets?
Who has no playmakers?
The Jets.
The Jets? Okay, Deshaun Watson lost DeAndre Hopkins, and then he lost Will Fuller for most of the year and led the NFL in passing yards. Had the best year of his career.
Situation. He's going to be.
If he was on a decent team, he would have won the MVP.
If let's say Miami trades for him, they're going to have to give up all their draft capital. They're going to have to give up Tua. So who's he going to be thrown to in Miami? Like, who's he going to be thrown to in New York? It's the same thing as Houston.
I just think it's an unprecedented thing in the NFL where, like, this dude is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, one of the most important positions in sports. He's under 25. He won Rookie of the Year. He won the national championship in college against a team that was considered unbeatable. It's very easy to forget that Clemson wasn't great when he got there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now Clemson and Alabama are 1 and 2, 1 and 1A. But he was the one that put Clemson over the top. When he beat Alabama, everybody said they're not going to lose a game. They can't lose. They won't lose. And he beat him in the title game.
Real quick, I want to ask a question because I saw this recently on the Twitter sphere and saw it verified on ESPN.
I love Twitter.
That Deshaun Watson, I don't know if this changes your perspective on the situation, that Deshaun did not tell Schefter, I want to be traded. The Texans leaked the information to Schefter that Deshaun asked for a trade, and all Deshaun did was confirm it. Does that change how you view it?
No, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter. He requested the trade. He wants to get traded. The unprecedented part is that a dude at that level, at that age, is going to get traded. Quarterbacks like that don't become available. Like, the only way you get them is in the draft, and that's why all these guys go in the top 10 picks.
That thing that you're saying about the Texans saying it and then him corroborating the story, that just shows that relationship is toxic. It's over. He's definitely not going to play another down in Houston. Where do you want him? You want him to stay in Texas? Come up and play in Dallas? You probably got a few things you can move around to get down to Houston. And you have enough wide receivers and enough weapons. You can give up one.
We have the weapons, definitely. But like I said, like, what are they going to have to give up for him?
Well, Dallas would have to do, if you think about Dallas, you sign and trade Dak. because at least they'll have a quarterback that wants to be there or at least have a chip on his shoulder, whatever. So you sign and trade Dak. That's the Tua piece to it. You're going to need at least 3 first-rounders. So if you want 3 first-rounders, Dak, and one of your 3 receivers, would you do that?
No, then the defense will just be shit forever. That's like Tony Romo, again, like with a shitty defense. Like, you're not going to win games with a shitty defense.
It took 8 minutes for Tony Romo to come up. And he's back.
I think
the Romo Lover 9 is in the building. Took 8 minutes. You should have held it out for one more minute. Romo Lover 9 would have came up 9 minutes into the thing.
You have to score 45 points. You score 45 points in offense and you still lose games. Like, come on.
Right, but I think Sage made a good point, talking about earlier in terms of, what teams are going to trade for him. And obviously I think Deshaun's a great player, but I'm trying to look at this and how a GM would step back, because GMs, not only do they see what you do well on film, but they want to pick you apart as well, right? So as a GM of a team that's pretty bad, I don't have that many good players and I have a lot of resources, I'm going to trade for a guy who just came off a back-to-back 10-win seasons, and now one season of adversity seems like he wants to leave, right? So there's number one right there. Number two, I actually looked this up. His record since he's been with the Texans is 29-27 with 2 playoff appearances, which is the same thing Matt Schaub did in the same amount of time. So we still have to.
When he got drafted, the Texans were drafting in the top 5,
garbage.
so they were a horrible team. You can't judge Deshaun Watson on their win-loss record.
And he was also saddled with Bill O'Brien.
I know there's other context. I 1,000% agree. I'm just saying, as the GM, when you look at everything, that because I'm moving circles. We're talking 3 first.
But you're throwing his win-loss record as like a negative at him. He boarded a sinking ship.
Yeah, because as a quarterback, you're still based on your record. Everybody loves Baker going forward because he won so many games. To me, he's the same crappy quarterback he was last year. He just has a better coach.
Well, quarterbacks get too much blame. They get too much praise.
I agree with that.
That always happens. But this kid went into a team that was in the absolute, a sewage of a team, and brought him, to the playoffs despite having Bill O'Brien. Now, this is first, you say his first piece of adversity. But his first piece of adversity where they literally gave away his best player for nothing. He was throwing to Randall Cobb. He was throwing to what's the little guy, Brandon Cooks.
Kuti.
Yeah, if Fuller got hurt, Fuller was his only like true NFL size receiver. He got hurt,
and then he was gone.
He had Aikens at wide receiver, who's should be a backup somewhere. That was a bad team that he was putting yardage up for.
Yeah, because to me the only negative I actually see is. The last time we saw this guy in the playoffs, I don't give a shit who your coach is. You had a 25-point lead versus an average defense, and you blew it. You can't move waters for that guy. I'm sorry.
I could understand when you were saying you wouldn't want to get rid of Sam Darnold for Trevor Lawrence, but you really wouldn't want Deshaun Watson over Trevor Lawrence? Over Sam Darnold?
No, I don't want to give up 4 first-round picks.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it makes your team better.
Deshaun Watson will throw 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns for us to go 4-12 again.
It doesn't look like Deshaun Watson's going to New York anyway, unless Saleh's playing games. He was saying today how he loves the way that Darnold moves the ball. He loves the way that it leaves his hand.
Yeah. And he was projecting him in LaFleur's offense, which is Mike Shanahan's offense.
Yeah,
and how he can move around the pocket and go off platform and shit.
So Watson's moving. He's just not in. I don't think he's going to end up on the Jets. The question that Sage asked earlier was, where does he end up? Who needs a quarterback that's a last piece? Because you're right. You can't really grab him if you're – that's one that we think of it for sure because they have everything else. But you can't drop him on a rebuilding team and give up that many draft picks because you're right. You're hamstringing your team moving forward. So it's got to be somebody that's ready to go right now.
The Rams gave up their picks for Ramsey. Remember, the Rams don't have any picks to give. They gave them up to get Ramsey.
What are they going to do? Donald?
Mm-hmm.
The only comp that's really close was the trade for RG3. The Redskins gave up 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3, I think. So probably to get Deshaun Watson.
Say that you can probably get something else out of Watson because he's proven RG3 was unproven at that time.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson's already in the NFL balling. If you're the Jets, you probably got to give them Darnold, both number 1s this year, plus your number 1 next year, and maybe a 2, maybe 2 2s.
No way I do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
I
love Deshaun Watson. I think he's better than Sam Darnold, but
not by
Deshaun Watson, you just gave all this impressive stuff that Deshaun Watson did. The team went 4-12.
Here, the other thing that you have to do is if you're thinking about where he's going to end up, it's going to be a hefty trade. He's going to end up somewhere that can't get somebody to go there to sign. So you're Indianapolis, somewhere like that will sign
division though.
I know, I get that. I'm just saying somewhere that's not a huge destination for somebody who, that really wants to go there. So they may overpay just because they'll get him in place, and then you can hold him there. The Paul George thing, like what?
How about
OKC
the fucking Redskins?
The question is, do they have enough to give up for him? They have enough to give up for him. That's a perfect spot.
They'd have to give up their first round picks for like the next 3 years. Which
I would be so pissed, man. Yeah, I would
probably
be
give
so
up
pissed.
McLaurin too.
Which one?
They'd probably have to give up McLaurin too.
You know where it'd be a good spot for him also is the Carolina Panthers.
They don't have anything to give up for him though.
Yeah, I think NFL teams value picks more than players. So sitting here saying, "Oh, they have to trade this person, they have to trade that person." NFL teams don't want your.
But when I say
players.
they don't have much, is what I mean is they'll have picks in the teens. The team. The reason that people keep bringing up the
Panthers
Dolphins
have the 9th pick.
The team. No, I'm talking about the moving forward type deal. The Dolphins here. The reason they keep bringing up the Dolphins is because if they get it right now, they're getting their pick back, which is high as shit. They'll get another high pick probably next year. And what is it? The second pick the Dolphins have is in the 20s. So it's a stacked draft. You get 2 in this year. You're getting your own pick back that you did a shitty trade on. So it kind of fixes something with the Tunsil trade. So I understand why they're going after Miami. They're also talking about Tua again. This question doesn't come up. No, we're not even having this discussion if they just drafted Herbert. But that's a dead horse we've been beating for a while.
Yeah, if they drafted Herbert, they could have.
We're not even having this conversation.
Yeah,
the Dolphins would have made the playoffs last year. We'll let that go to rest.
Yep, let that marinate.
But this is going wherever Watson lands up is going to change the draft because it's a 4 quarterback draft. 4 top-ends being Lawrence, Fields, Wilson from BYU, and your boy from the Bisons, Lance.
What about Mac Jones?
He's trying to hide Mac Jones.
He's on the next
not
tier.
To say Mac Jones so the other teams don't draft him.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can go in the second round of the Falcons.
Slip to the fourth pick of the second round.
Sam Ellinger guy. Sam Ellinger in black and red.
You keep calling that. You keep calling
it's meant to be.
You keep calling Sam Ellinger at me. And what you're doing is you're tempting fate, and you're gonna have Jalen Hurts starting over.
We already have Jalen Hurts.
That's what I mean. You didn't hear what you don't even finish the sentence.
That draft pick has already happened.
Wentz is gonna be the backup.
Nothing I say now is gonna affect that.
Jalen Hurts is going to beat out Carson Wentz for the starting job.
And you'll have Sam Ellinger for 8.5 years.
No, we don't. The only quarterback we've kept that long is Matt Ryan. We even got rid of Vic faster than that. He helped out a little bit by killing some dogs, but we don't keep quarterbacks that long.
You guys know how much I love Wentz. If they announced tomorrow that the Eagles traded Wentz and a bunch of draft picks for Deshaun Watson, I'd be happy.
You know, you almost got traded to Indianapolis, right?
No.
Before the Eagles really love Wentz, by the way. You can tell that the front office has bent over backwards for Carson Wentz. They were about to ship him off back to Frank Reich. And at the last minute, they decided they interviewed the OC in Indianapolis, brought him in. And because he has the same philosophy as Reich, now they're going to see, all right, we'll give him a shot to fix Wentz. Or fix the offense around him, whichever way you want to see who the issue was happening. But he was literally...
I like the hire.
They were on the phone discussing with Indianapolis what the compensation would be to send.
That's not true. Stop lying.
You can call me a liar all you want. There's no skin off my back. I'm not an Eagle.
I would have read that at this point. I mean, come on.
I'll show it to you if you want me to, but you're not on the Twitterverse, and the things that are floated out there.
Twitterverse gives you extra knowledge.
There's bullshit that's out there, and there's certain people you can listen to that have consistently given good information over the time, and that Incarcerated Bob's one of them. We brought him up before, and there've been other beat writers on it that said that he was most certainly in talks to Indianapolis. It didn't happen because things changed.
I love Incarcerated Bob, but I've never read one story that said the Eagles were on the phone trying to trade Wentz, and that's when they hired the dude from.
No. That's not true. You're crossing streams there. I didn't say that's why they hired him. I said they were on the phone discussing a trade. Then they interviewed him, and his philosophy obviously matches with what does well what Wentz does well because he was good under Frank Reich's offense. So that changed their direction. But they most certainly were on the phone discussing moving around.
Every single story says that every coach they interviewed, the front office told them, listen, we're going to keep Wentz. We want to keep Wentz. We want to fix it with him. They told the coaches that in the interviews.
I would have been mad if my GM wasn't calling around to see what was happening. This guy actually requested a trade before. So I understand that you're saying that you're
That's not true. That never came out.
Discredit the story that I'm giving.
Adam Schefter never broke that.
Well, Adam Schefter would have broke it when they were actually moving him over and they were actually sending the trade over. All I said was that talks happened. So your GM was actually doing his job for once.
I get my news from Adam Schefter, not Six Pack Joe on Twitter.
That's because you're a boomer. Next topic.
Yeah.
Staying in Philadelphia, the 76ers. Best team in the East, and I'm asking that because there's another team that's not a short train or drive or, away from them that's got 3 superstars on it. Well, 2.5. I don't think Kyrie Irving's a true superstar. But are the Sixers the best team in the East?
Yes.
The Sixer fan gives a one-word answer of yes.
They got the best record in the East. When all 5 starters start, they're 9-0.
Can we get a graphic, though, of first of all, we get like a poll question of is LeBron a dirty player, and then show that shove against Embiid, which is one of the dirtiest plays I've seen this year.
Didn't even try to jump up and block the shot, just shoved him to the ground in midair.
And it's funny how after that happened,
he's done that
after that happened, the Lakers make a 13-2 run to make it close. By the way,
don't act like you guys have never had a crazy foul when you played basketball, because I know you motherfuckers are dirty.
Oh, I'm not talking about me.
You can't say that I don't play defense and that I'm dirty at the same time. You gotta pick one or the other. You can't hit me with both.
There's a difference between a hard foul on the blacktop somewhere and a multi-million-dollar player getting knocked out of midair.
Yeah, I never pushed someone who can jump that high in midair before. That I've never done.
That's a 5-game fine for anybody else in the NBA.
Anybody else. He's in midair, basically like a defenseless guy. Anybody else.
I wish I could hire Draymond to go punch him in the dick again.
Draymond would do it, and for a low amount of money too. You wouldn't have to pay.
Enrique knows him. Enrique, can you text Draymond, please?
I'll text my boy Draymond real quick.
Would you walk into the Spanish countryside?
Yeah. When do they play again? Gotta make sure he lets him know.
Not soon enough. I want a full nut punch.
Yep.
Well, another reason I wanted to bring up the Sixers is that Getz likes to hate on a guy named Tobias Harris.
Sucks.
And Tobias Harris, if this was anyone else in the NBA, you've been claiming this guy should be an all-star, this, that, and the other. 20 points, 7 rebounds. He's shooting 52.5% from the field, 46% from 3.
46!
And 82% from the free throw line. You know what Tobias Harris's issue is? He's kind of chubby, and he doesn't dunk on anybody.
And he
doesn't give any highlight plays. So unless you're actually digging into numbers or really watching 60, 70, 80 games of Sixers basketball, he just looks like a tubby guy that shoots a little bit around. It's bad optics, but he's a good player. The Sixers, I'm saying it right now, and I am not a Sixers fan. We've gone over this many times. We've had Knicks talk. The Sixers will beat the New Jersey Nets at whatever. And I know I said New Jersey. They'll never be Brooklyn to me. The New Jersey Nets will lose, and they'll beat them in less than 7 games. It won't go to a full 7 series. They have absolutely nothing for Joel Embiid and Kyrie Irving.
Who's going to guard Embiid?
And who's going to stop Ben Simmons from backing Kyrie Irving, the worst defender who's considered a superstar in the NBA? He's worse than Harden. I can back down Kyrie Irving.
Ben Simmons doesn't really do that. He's really more of a transition guy. But to get back to Toby Harris,
he'll catch that ball on the elbow on a high post and back a player down. I've seen him do that before, and he
Toby
certainly
Harris
do that 7 inches taller than Kyrie.
Toby Harris was putting up those kind of numbers on the Clippers when we traded for him. That's why I was so excited when we made the trade. But he never did that on the Sixers until this year, until we got a real coach that runs real plays, runs real offense. Getting Embiid down low, getting his points. It's kind of bittersweet because like Embiid is having this fantastic year and they're going to have a sick record and he's probably still not going to win MVP because Durant's going to put up 35 or, LeBron's going to have some sick ass numbers. He's not going to win the MVP again. But once it comes to playoff time, that's when Embiid has to step in and win these games.
It's LeBron you got to worry about if you're worried about the MVP. They're not going to give it to Durant. Too many mouths to feed on that
in
team.
that offense, Durant's going to score like 35.
There's too many mouths to feed on that team, and at the end, their record's not going to be as great as people think they are. They can't play the defense at all.
Yeah, but Getz also made a good point, and I want to give a shout out to Doc Rivers because in that last play, which is really what you didn't see from Philly with Brett Brown, there was some direction.
How many years was I complaining about this?
That last play, Tobias made the shot, but the play call to get that rub screen to get Tobias switched off of LeBron into Caruso is something that Brett Brown just wasn't doing for these guys. That's what won them the game because I think Toby Harris can score on Caruso blindfolded.
Yeah, coaching makes a difference.
We love Caruso on the program.
Yeah, we love Caruso, but
coaching makes a difference.
Caruso's Sage's cousin.
Looking like Tony Naz.
He does.
We see that, not to bring it back to the Knicks, of course, but you see the difference coaching makes, where you actually have someone who understands how to make players better, how to put them in positions to actually make the team improve.
And that's all they want, man. A pro player that's making that much money, that's all they want. Put me in a good spot where I can succeed. And that was why the players were bugging out about Brett Brown. They all, he was their buddy. He was their friend. But when it came, late game against Brad Stevens in the playoffs, he would always get out coached.
You can't have your coach being best friends with players on the team. That's when you end up with Jim Mora Jr. doing donuts in D'Angelo Hall's freaking Ferrari in the Flowery Branch parking lot for the Falcons. That's 100% true.
That's a true story.
100% true. It's the first day of training camp. He's a rookie coach in the NFL. And D'Angelo Hall, who was a flashy guy to begin with, shows up in a bright candy red fucking Ferrari. And 5 minutes later, Jim Mora Jr. is doing donuts in the Falcons parking lot. No, it wasn't awesome. We went from a Super Bowl contending team to having Chris Redmond play quarterback 2 years later because Jim Mora Jr. blew everything up.
Didn't matter. You weren't going to beat the Eagles anyway.
You can't have that's a completely different situation. You can't have shit brains for coaches, and that's what Brett Brown and Bill O'Brien and these people that get into different positions because of whatever, nepotism or whatever else it is.
Bill O'Brien wasn't that bad of a coach. He was a terrible GM.
Bill O'Brien's a terrible head coach.
No, terrible. Come on.
I think he's a terrible GM. He's not a terrible head coach.
Bad GM.
He's an average coach. He's an average coach.
Sounds like a debate to me.
We can pull up his stats. They're not that bad.
Bill O'Brien face off.
Would you rather have Bill O'Brien or a drunk Steve Sarkisian on your sideline?
Sarkisian is a G. Sarkisian just designed the national championship winning offense.
One thing I wanted to mention too about
I could have designed that offense.
Sark, I know you want the nectar, Sark.
I know it's only 15, 16 games in or whatever, but we see how much better their coach in Philly. That kind of leaves me an even more sour note about playoff P and Kawhi. I think they're even more fraud than what I thought they were after they lost to the Nuggets.
Well, playoff P is balling right now. So
he does have the regular season
P
because he is regular season P.
So regular season, dude, even watching football, I've come to believe this more and more. Like any quarterback can put up stats in the regular season. When you go into the playoffs, man, and you start beating good teams that are planning against you, it's a different thing when a defensive coordinator has to game plan for this game. And I'm watching film on this team and the team we're playing next week and the team we're playing 2-3 weeks from now. Till now, I'm in the playoffs. I'm just game planning against you. I'm watching all your film. I'm watching 6, 7, 8 games, every set you're in, every formation, every play you run. And now I'm prepping my defense for that. That's a different animal. And me and Sage were talking about it earlier. I know everything's all about Tom Brady this week, but it kind of should be. There's been 55 Super Bowls. Tom Brady's played in 10.
He's fucking ridiculous.
That is
it's
insane.
Fucking crazy, dude. It's crazy.
You brought up Tom Brady. And Tom Brady at the present second is holding the mantle of GOAT, at least in my opinion. Yeah. Now, the quarterback that he's playing against in the Super Bowl in a week and a half won the Super Bowl last year, is the favorite to win it this year.
Won the MVP in his second year in the league.
And 2 years ago, if D Brown doesn't jump offside, D Ford, I'm sorry, D Brown was the point guard on the Celtics. D Ford.
Yeah.
If D Ford doesn't jump offside, they probably win. This would be the third Super Bowl in a row because they would have rolled the Rams. They would have rolled the Rams
that year. That was the worst Super Bowl ever. But yeah, they would have beat the Rams that year.
So although Tom Brady is holding this mantle of the greatest of all time, how many years or how far in the future before it's handed off to Mahomes? Because it's looking that way.
It depends how long Andy Reid stays, I think.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be held another year. I got the Bucs winning the Super Bowl.
You got Bucs. Okay. We got a hot take. We got a hot take from the Jet fan.
I know it's
not. It's not because I think that Tom Brady.
It's because you're a Jet fan and you're used to seeing Tom Brady win. That's why.
Well, no, but it's not even. It's not even that. It's obviously it is hard to bet against them, but I think that Shaq Barrett and JPP can wreck the game in the way that nobody in Kansas City D-line can.
I mean, no one knows better than you, Joel.
That's dirty. That's so wrong. I would. Yeah, I would make a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl joke, but Enrique wasn't alive yet, so I'll leave those alone. That's how fucking far back. Yeah, we lost, motherfucker, but we were there. You haven't been there. What was it? Daddy Bush, the first Bush was still president. The last time that the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl, and you know what? The next time the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl,
Clinton was in office,
and was it Clinton? But he was barely. He just barely got there, though, right? What was it? The first 2 weeks that he was in office?
First 2 weeks.
What was it?
Inauguration's the 21st. The Super Bowl's 2 weeks later. Is that how long Clinton was in office? All I'm saying is long fucking time ago. There was no HD footage of a Super Bowl with the Cowboys in it. It's all grainy, and I think Madden was still doing the games. It was a long time ago.
There's plenty of HD footage of the biggest meltdown in Super Bowl history.
Oh!
Kyle fucking Shanahan, man. He runs the ball 2 times up Alex Mack's back, kicks a field goal, we win. I'll never forgive Shanahan for that.
I'm surprised Saints didn't bring up you doing the Ric Flair walk around the pool.
You want to talk about a roller coaster?
You were doing the Care Bear walk.
You want to talk about a roller coaster of emotions? That's the only thing that I can correlate to where you would have that sort of roller coaster of emotion is if OJ had gotten the guilty verdict that day, because he was sure he was getting free. So he stood up, he grabbed the jacket. They had told him guilty. That's how I felt when the last triple zeros went across and fucking Kyle Shanahan screwed my beloved Falcons out of a Super Bowl. Fuck you, Shanahan. That's why I'm happy you got Garoppolo. I hope you never get another quarterback. I hope you have to go with Nick Mullins and whatever other Native American quarterbacks you can get. I'm guessing Nick Mullins is Native American. He looks that way. But fuck you, Kyle Shanahan. I hope you never, ever succeed in life ever again. And that you have, IBS and Crohn's or whatever else moving forward.
What if the Niners trade for Deshaun Watson?
That's a good fit. I love that fit.
They don't have shit to give up for him.
They could just give up their first-round picks for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
there's no rules in the NFL about that.
They're going to make the playoffs every year. They're going to make the playoffs every year, so who cares?
They could do a 3-way trade with the Patriots. They do a 3-way trade with the Patriots. The Patriots give a 4th-rounder for Garoppolo and some other shit to make it move. They'll do it. I think the Patriots would take Garoppolo.
Who wants Garoppolo? That may be the only team that wants Garoppolo.
Some fantasy football shit here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that team will give up that much for him.
Where is this notion that Garoppolo is bad? Why do you think Garoppolo is bad?
The last 2 seasons of watching him play,
he was hurt all year.
Then maybe he'll never be right again. Even when he was supposedly fully healthy in the beginning part of the season,
they went to the Super Bowl and almost won.
Well, to not steal, Sage is here, so I can tell you the defense, then the run game got them there. That was Shanahan scheming him. If he can't put up prolific numbers in Shanahan's offense, he's never going to be anything more than what we've seen. Every other quarterback that Shanahan's touched, RG3, Matt Ryan, everybody else put up astronomical numbers. Jimmy G's a handsome man and not much more.
So to get back to the original topic, we were talking about Tom Brady. They asked him in a media session today, how do you like playing for Bruce Arians? And let me tell you, my man didn't talk about the game at all. Didn't talk about the offense, didn't talk about the plays, didn't talk about the game day situations. He goes, Bruce Arians is a great person. He's just a really loyal guy that everybody loves. And I love playing for him. And I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Bruce Arians. And all I got to say is shots fired. You might as well say Belichick's a dick.
Yep.
And as soon as they said cut, he turned and made out with his son.
Yeah, because Rex Ryan was saying on Countdown that players didn't want to go to New England because of Belichick. It was because of Brady. So maybe there is some truth to that.
Oh, yeah, players that only care about winning, they'll go there. But
That's what I think. I think if you want to win, you're going to want to play for Bill Belichick.
But where did Rex Ryan get that info from? Because if you just look at everything else that happened, Rob Gronkowski came out of but he came. Rob Gronkowski comes out of retirement. Antonio Brown's begging to play anywhere that the guy goes. I mean, he's high on lean, but Josh Gordon wanted to go everywhere that freaking Tom Brady wanted to go. The people want to play with him. So that Rex Ryan, that's some salty, some salty grapes there from Rex Ryan because he couldn't beat Brady the whole time he was there with the Jets.
Or Belichick.
But what I'm saying is, who has won more under Belichick than Tom Brady? And Tom Brady's still trying to shred him in interviews. That shows you how much of an asshole Bill Belichick is.
Yeah, exactly.
What quarterback does have the most wins under Belichick other than Brady? Is it Eric Zier back in the Cleveland days?
It's got to be Bledsoe.
It's got to be Matt Castle, probably.
Well, Castle was just the 1 year. I don't remember how long.
That's 11 wins right there.
It's got to be Bledsoe.
Before they shipped off Bledsoe down to Dallas and his career died.
But actually, they shipped him to Buffalo first. He went to Buffalo, and then he went to Dallas, and then his career died under Dave Campo.
Bledsoe's a good quarterback, man.
Bledsoe was only a victim of Romo being so great. Once they gave Romo a shot at the starting job, he never gave it up.
It was Tom Brady, and then it was Romo.
You want to talk about somebody having bad luck, dude? First off, he almost gets broken in half on the sideline. Almost dies because his sternum gets bruised. Shouts to Florida State. And then goes and loses his job to Tony fucking Romo. Tony Romo takes his job.
Go hate.
Oh, that's what you're here for. I know it. So I asked the question. Nobody gave me a straight answer. How many more bowls does he have to equal Brady before he can be considered, or Mahomes can be considered taking over as the GOAT? Because right now, the guy, he's breaking records. He's winning MVPs. He's going to be winning bowls.
I think physically, Mahomes is the best quarterback right now. He's probably going to be the best quarterback for the next 10 years. It's kind of irrelevant how many Super Bowls he wins. Like, I don't know. Does he have to win 6 or 7 for you to say he's as good as Tom Brady? He's as good as Tom Brady right now. They're about to play for the title.
But it'll be the LeBron Jordan thing, unless he matches the number of rings. Or I mean, if he beats him head to head this time, he say, "Listen, I'm 1-0 against him." That's a feather in his cap right there. I know for what,
because we know 1-on-1 versus Jordan, Iverson crossed him up and Jade right in his eye.
If they were the same age, Jordan would destroy Allen Iverson.
He crossed him up
on one play, and Jordan was like 40. Iverson didn't even have his cornrows in yet. Super young. That's a completely different story.
I got to pay my respects because it was 1 year. Kobe Bryant passed about a year ago. I remember I was sitting on my couch and Sage sent me a rude text message that just said, "Kobe Bryant's dead."
Why's that rude?
But people talk about LeBron like
that's
he should.
But hold on, Getz. That's the same way that my roommate in college told me that Biggie had died. That's the same thing. I walked in the room. He's like, "Yo, Biggie died," and then turned around and walked out the room. You can't do that shit. I need some context behind that. You can't just text somebody that Kobe died. That was ridiculous, Sage. Be better.
People compare LeBron to Jordan. I say LeBron is nowhere close. If there was anybody close, it was Kobe.
Yeah.
Not only in playing style and the look, but like the
mentality,
unbelievable killer instinct, the leadership. Kobe was as close to Jordan as you could ever get, and even still, he wasn't as good as Jordan. I will tell you this story. The year the Sixers and the Lakers played in the finals, when Iverson hit the J in the corner, they got one win. I went to Philly that year and watched the Sixers play the Lakers. And I was behind the basket. I had good seats. They were kind of low. And I watched Kobe Bryant in a year where Allen Iverson won the MVP and was unstoppable. Kobe Bryant kept going like this, like, "Get away from me," and took him one-on-one and shut down Allen Iverson. They came into Philly and won in the regular season. So I got to see Kobe Bryant in his prime do his thing. Cheers, homie.
Yo, shout out to RIP to Cloris Leachman.
Quick timeout. Quick
Your
timeout.
best.
I fact checked us a little bit. We talked
One of-
about
Well, hold on one
order.
second there, Enrique. One of Seich's exes. He just wanted to give a nice
Cloris Leachman.
RIP to Cloris Leachman.
Hottest 96-year-old ever.
They dated for a bit when he was on the Baltimore Braves back in the day.
I
But
never
ahead,
go to sleep
continue.
without a little sausage in me.
Yeah.
Thought it was
So
the ball.
I looked up. It is the answer is actually Matt Castle with 11 wins because Drew Bledsoe has 5 wins under Bill Belichick. They went
The
5
rest
and
are
11
with
the first year.
Parcells.
How about Bernie
Yeah,
Kosar
the rest were Parcells. Yeah.
in Cleveland?
So I'm talking about in New England, the quarterback with the most wins, not named Brady, is Matt Castle.
That was in Cleveland. It was
Great.
oh my God, I'm losing his name right now. He went to coach Kansas City right after. Big glasses.
Schottenheimer?
Schottenheimer was the coach when Kosar was there. When Bernie was there, and that's another team.
Yeah, Belichick was the one. Belichick was the one who cut Kosar. That was like a big thing. That was like a big deal.
And then he went to where'd he go? Dallas.
the playoff fumbles, still killing Cleveland all these years later. I know we hadn't talked about this before, but that's the dumbest fucking rule. The second that actually, I'll take a step back. The dumbest rule in all of football is the targeting you get ejected in college football. That's the dumbest rule in all of football. The second dumbest rule in all of football is if you fumble the ball into the end zone and it goes out of bounds, the defense gets it on the 20.
But you got to give context, though. You got to give context of why they made the rule that.
Go ahead.
Because the Raiders in the 70s
The
used to have a propensity of fumbling into the end zone and other guys jumping on the fumble in the end zone. Like, okay, I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna get tackled. Now I'm just gonna bowl it into the end zone to Sage that's standing there in the corner, and now he's gonna fall on it and score a touchdown.
Yeah,
that's why they changed the rule.
Started on the 40. They could just bring him back to the 40 once they do that.
Both hands dripping with stickum. Well, yeah, but
that's
you can't.
Not the rule. There's no 40-yard rule.
But if you had,
do.
You know what I'm saying? No, but what Sage, the easiest way to do that is you just can't you can't advance the ball. Wherever you fumble it from, that's where you get it back. But just because you fumble, because the thing is, if it hits the pylon, if it doesn't hit the pylon and falls out right in front of it, the offense is getting it back at the 1-inch line. But if it touches the pylon or it touches the goal line and then goes out of bounds, the defense gets it on the 20. I know they call it a game of inches. That's absolutely ridiculous. You just shouldn't be able to advance the ball. If you fumble it at the 1, they put it back to where you fumble, and the offense keeps the ball or whatever down it is. That screwed the Browns.
But you got to understand, then
time.
there would be guys at the 5 and the 6 just rifling the ball through the end zone. Oh, now we get it at the 1-inch line.
No. That's not what I said.
I understand what you're saying.
You get it. No, you get it. You get it where you fumble. What you just did was advance the ball. So if you fumble it at the 5 and it goes in the end zone, you get it at the 1. You just advance the ball. I didn't say that. Fumble it at the 5. No matter where the ball, if it goes through the end zone, you get the ball back at the 5 from where you fumbled it. That's a huge penalty on an offense for something if you fumble through the end zone.
I think you should apply for the competition committee where requests like this belongs.
I'm already dressed like it.
And there's so many rules in the NFL benefiting the offense anyways. I'm okay with it.
Cleveland probably wins that game without that fumble. That's all I'm saying. And
that's not something new. Like the targeting bullshit is new and is ridiculous. But
just because
that fumble has been around for 40 years, 50 years.
Just because it's been a rule has been around doesn't mean that it's not a dumb rule.
But if NFL coaches had thought that was something that needed to be changed, they would have changed it by now. Because Sean Payton got a shit call in a playoff game, and he got a new rule in one summer.
And what did they do the next year? Put it right the fuck back to where it was. That was Sean Payton, we screwed you in the playoffs. Shut the fuck up for a year. And then the next year, they put it right the fuck back. And the last person to ever be complaining about anything is Sean Payton with his little bounty gate bullshit. And 4 years in a row,
I knew I shouldn't have said anything.
Unceremoniously getting kicked out of the playoffs. My man Stephon Diggs with the big play in that one. They were so sure they were going to bowl that year. And now Drew Brees is retiring with his fucking noodle arm and that stain on the side of his face. And they're going to be stuck with Jameis throwing 45 interceptions next year. I can't wait for the Saints. They're back to the 8s. Take that fucking S off.
Watch James go off next year.
I know.
I know. He probably will. First good coach is actually Arians is a good coach. I fucking hate the Saints so much, and they're finally on the way out.
How long did Arians coach Jameis for? Was it only one season?
I can't. Oh, Dirk Cutter was there first, so Arians had him for either.
Remember they fired the other guy just to keep Dirk Cutter. Who was it? I think it was Raheem Morris.
Yeah, Raheem was before that. I think it was Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith was never down there. Lovie Smith coached the Bears. Lovie Smith coached the Bears.
No, Lovie Smith coached somebody else other than the Bears as well. It wasn't just the Bears.
We've talked a lot about the coaching carousel.
Yeah, it was 2019. It was 2019. I just looked it up.
Eric Bieniemy never even got offered a job by anybody. All these Eagle fans bugging out about the Eagles.
2014, 2015, Lovie Smith was
the one that got fired to keep Dirk Cutter.
And
also, they cut him the next year.
I mentioned that on the Twitter sphere early in the coaching search, there was a growing sense that Bieniemy was not going to get a job. So the Twitter sphere was right.
Where did you hear that first? From me saying he must not be interviewing well because he's not getting offered anywhere.
Well,
all the Eagles fans saying, "Oh, the front office must." The front office, yeah, you got it from me. The front office must be racist because we're not offering Bieniemy or Deuce Staley, but Bieniemy didn't get offered anywhere.
Well, the NFL front office is kind of as a whole, as far as coaching searches go. It's still a good old boys club. Now Bieniemy.
That's bullshit. I don't buy that shit. If he was a good coach, if he interviewed well, he would have got offered. He would have got offered. Any NFL team that has a fucking coaching candidate and says, this guy is the guy, this guy's going to be the next great coach, you offer him. Doesn't matter if he's black or white.
There's a lot of people that say different to that.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, just some of the names that got pulled out of out of a hat from somewhere. Like the guy that you drafted. The guy that you signed to be your head coach. I never heard of him before 2 weeks ago. So it is what it is. All right. The Rooney Rule is another thing. We talk about stuff that's stupid. The Rooney Rule is stupid because all it is, it's pandering. That's all it is, and it's actually insulting to bring in a coach like a Leslie Frazier or someone like that who has
Marvin Lewis
tenure in the NFL to bring him in just for the Rooney Rule, just to I say, hey, don't take my draft picks away because I interviewed a black coach, even though I have absolutely no intention of hiring him. So the Rooney Rule needs to go out. I will say something, though. The GMs, there were 4 black GMs that were hired. So the front offices, the leader of the front office is a little more, towards what the rest of society is as far as percentages, but the head coaching job. But the other thing, too, is if I'm a head coach,
still at ESPN.
If I'm a head coach, I'd rather have a college gig than an NFL gig. You have a lot more, stability in college than you do in the NFL. You get hired. What's that? We just said Lovie Smith got 1 year in Tampa Bay. Dude in Arizona, Steve Wilkes a couple of years ago got 1 year in Arizona. You have a short leash unless you go to Cincinnati where they don't want to fire anybody because they don't want to pay 2 salaries. If you're in the NFL, if you don't win right away. That's why Marvin Lewis was there forever. They wouldn't fire him because they didn't want to pay 2 salaries.
Charlie Strong, what'd he get? 1 year in Louisville? They got rid of him?
It wasn't Louisville, it was Texas.
Oh yeah, Texas.
1 year at Texas. Yeah, he was balling at Louisville. That's how he got the Texas job. And then 1 year at Texas, and they booted him out for a guy they just fired.
At Texas, you got to win.
I think part of the reason Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job, I think it's because the media pushes him so much, and NFL people hate listening to the media. I think they're smarter. Oh, I don't want the media tell me what to do, because a lot of people say, oh, Bieniemy didn't call plays, but Peterson didn't call plays either when he was under Andy Reid, and look what he did.
Nagy didn't either.
Yeah, Nagy didn't either. So I think that saying that, I think it's 100% that he's just interviewing poorly, and that gives GMs and owners like, oh, is this guy going to get the respect of my locker room? They don't believe he is. That has to be it, because
he gets the guy that the Eagles hired was calling plays. He called plays with the Colts. He was the quarterback coach on the Chargers when Rivers was there. He was one of the reasons that Rivers even went to Indianapolis, because they had that guy in place on the Colts staff.
But calling plays as a head coach is, and granted, my team signed a coach that calls all the offensive plays as well, can be a little bit overrated.
I agree.
It's really just, you're more of a manager than call. some of them take on the extra roles of offense coordinator, like Arthur Smith is going to, because he's calling picks and like what's your coach's name? I don't want to say Graziani's in my head, but I know that's
Sirianni.
Sirianni. Yeah, so they're taking on the extra role of calling plays, but you got guys like Harbaugh. Harbaugh in Baltimore. He was a special teams guy.
He was a special teams coach.
But he wasn't calling any plays and things of that sort.
That
seems to be an excuse for Bieniemy.
The thing is, to take over a team with a bad culture that has a losing record, you kind of have to have that impact on your team. So there's other guys like Jimmy Johnson and CEO head coaches. Like I'm sure Urban Meyer is not going to call any plays, but like for most teams to bring in a new head coach and have that guy change your culture, he kind of has to call plays or call defenses to have that much of an impact on the game.
Well, let me just tell you, Bieniemy, thank you, lucky stars, you're not going out in Houston. I wouldn't want that job anyway. That dude that got hired, whatever his name is, the light-skinned black dude, 2 years. He's got 2 years tops. And then he's
what's funny?
Well, he's 65 years old. It was definitely a short-term plan.
They hired him because he came from Baltimore where they run all that bullshit with Lamar Jackson. So I guess they thought they could suck Deshaun Watson in.
But Deshaun Watson's a completely different quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson's probably looking at that saying, I don't want to play in that fucking
I'm not running that shit.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not running that. No, he's a completely he is more of a classic drop back quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
That was a terrible hire, and it actually accents what Deshaun Watson was upset about was the ownership and the bullshit GM that they brought in from New England. Let's look at other GMs that came out of the New England system, Pioli, Dimitroff, they've all failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pioli was at Kansas City forever. They didn't get over
because everybody knows in New England, the GM is Belichick.
Yeah, because the special advisor to the owner, Easterby, that everybody hates, I think Easterby came from New England. So he's been trying to bring New England people over, including Bill O'Brien, since he's been there.
Belichick is everything in New England. He's the GM and all of the coaches. The only one that's really had any success so far has been Flores. Patricia was garbage. Weiss was garbage. Crennel was garbage. McDaniels was garbage. Everybody else that came off of that Belichick coaching tree out of New England has not been good, other than Flores.
And he's only had one good season, by the way. Let's make sure we clarify
almost made the playoffs.
Oh, God, Joe Judge. But Flores only had one good season as well, too. So, we've seen it in the NFL. A team can win 10 games.
No, you got to taking things in. He had one good season as far as record. But the first year he was in Miami, they weren't supposed to win any games, and they won 5. So he's had 2 good seasons of exceeding expectations in Miami. Don't sell him short, because he really got a shit team that first year he went down.
And you could tell with him, like the players got better when he got there. Some of the players are noticeably better.
Everybody except Jakeem Grant.
Some of the players are noticeably better under him than they were under Gase, which we know is not hard to do. But they did it.
That's not hard to do.
If he had Flores, his way,
Flores is definitely a guy.
Patrick.
Flores is definitely a guy
I believe
want to play for.
I believe what Sage just said. If he would have had it his way, because I think it was an owner move.
He would have
to start Tua, because I heard on Pro Football Talk that it was actually an owner selection to take Tua, because what Greer and Flores wanted to do, they wanted to trade up for Burrow, and when that didn't happen, they wanted Herbert,
which was the right way to go.
Yeah, which was the right way to go, and the owner stepped in and said, "No, we got to take Tua."
Now get a front office job already.
It rolled back to Miami here. Now we mentioned Miami in the beginning. If you are Miami, all the things we've talked about, we live down here in South Florida. We've seen all the Dolphins practices and all of that. You can't get away from it. Do you make the move to 3 first-round picks and maybe a second somewhere to bring Deshaun Watson to Miami?
No, Chris Greer is a good GM. Chris Greer is actually a really good GM.
I didn't ask anything about the GM. I said would you move to 3 first-round picks and let's say a third?
No.
To Houston.
I would not.
For Watson and a 4-back.
You can build
I would.
I wouldn't.
I'm doing it 5 times and 3 times again on Sunday.
It's imagine if someone had said before the draft that the Dolphins should take Herbert instead of Tua. Imagine if someone, I don't know who, would have said that. But
Everybody
I did
on the show.
I did. Go back and watch.
I don't think any of us.
The situation is
if you can get Deshaun Watson for fucking Tua, hell yeah, you fucking make that trade.
But that's not the trade, though. This
dude's like 5'11". He can barely see over the line. They had to pull him twice to put in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, yeah, I love Fitzpatrick. He's great. He's got the beard. He's a gunslinger. Oh, great. You're talking about a fucking top 5 pick that they had to pull for a journeyman who's never been on a good team ever. Yeah, you make that trade.
You make that trade.
You're not trading them straight up, though. I'm not.
No, but here, but take
a straight up trade
by piece. No, but you take it piece by piece. You're giving them back their pick, number one. All right, so you're kind of correcting a wrong there if you're thinking of from Houston's side. Tua, you're actually offloading something that probably won't even be usable.
The Dolphins won 10 games. The Dolphins won 10 games. So next year, if they have Deshaun Watson, is their draft pick really going to be that high?
And they have 2 first-round picks this year. The pick next year with Watson and, be honest with you, a weaker AFC East, it probably is going to be a lower pick. I make that move 100 times out of 100. They're not going to win with Tua Tagovailoa or however the fuck you say his last name. Man. He's Hawaiian Teddy Bridgewater. You'll be all right from time to time. You'll look decent every once in a while, but you're not going to win anything.
You have a good defense. You're going to make it better through the draft. You're going to get playmakers. The team will be better. If you trade
in the NFL, you have to win with a stud quarterback.
Nah, no, you don't.
It starts with the quarterback.
No. Okay,
Baltimore,
who are the 4 quarterbacks in the NFC Championship and AFC Championship?
Baltimore's done it,
and they lose in the playoffs.
But Lamar Jackson was the MVP.
You're illustrating my point.
I'm talking about Trent Dilfer.
But that was 100 years ago. The
league's like 2001. 2001. That was.
But all those quarterbacks also have infrastructure in place. Those teams are actually really, really good in the lines of scrimmage. Like those teams aren't just because of the quarterbacks are there.
The final 4 teams all had Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right?
You win in the NFL, your quarterback takes you where you go. And in fact, to be honest with you, football period. Look at the 4 teams that made it to the NCAA championship. All had upper echelon quarterbacks. So you don't have a quarterback. You have everything else in place. You're going to suck.
No, because Garoppolo made the Super Bowl. Jared Goff made it to the Super Bowl recently.
Won that game.
Goff was the first overall pick. Goff should have made the Super Bowl. And Garoppolo,
but he's not that good.
Garoppolo
at the end of the day, he's not that good.
Garoppolo was schemed there. That was Shanahan getting Garoppolo there.
While we're talking about college football, the Senior Bowl is this week, and the Senior Bowl practices have been on TV, Joel.
So who you got? Who's jumping off the screen at you?
All right, so I got one guy. He's a receiver from UCLA. Every time they show highlights from the practices, every time they show the practices and say, hey, this guy's looking good, it's this same guy. He's got a weird first name. It's like Dimitrik or something like that. His last name is Felton. No relation to Fat Ray Felton.
If he was Fat Ray Felton, he would have been an offensive guard.
He's a receiver from UCLA. They got him playing receiver at the Senior Bowl, but at UCLA, he actually played running back for a couple years. And our discussions over the years, I always like a running back that switches to receiver because once they get the ball in their hands, they know what to do. They can shake. They can manipulate the defense. They can cut people up. This guy,
people like Deebo Samuel,
like a Tyreek Hill, man. He was a running back for 2-3 years in college. So this guy Felton, great hands. He's making some sick moves. He's going in one-on-ones against the best corners in the country, and nobody can cover him. I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick, but this guy, I think his name is Dimitrik Felton. He's wearing number 10. If anybody's watching the Senior Bowl on Saturday, look out for the guy. Kind of tweaked an ankle today in practice, so I don't know if he's going to go off in the games, but all week in practice, he's been going off. He's the star.
Sage, when you were in the Senior Bowl with Roger Staubach, right after you gotten back from Nam, did you feel that he had his best performance that week of practice in the Senior Bowl? Is that why the Cowboys went and picked him?
No, he left it all in Vietnam.
He left it all in Vietnam. Last year, what you just mentioned, Getz, about the guy sticking out, that was Mims last year. Mims was tearing up the Senior Bowl.
That's not a good feather in the cap there from a man Felton here because Mims hasn't done shit in the league.
You're not helping Felton's case.
Mims is hurt.
Mims doesn't.
Mims is hurt, and he was under Adam Gase. Like
this is true.
Mims, when he was healthy,
judge him yet because of Gase.
The last game he was healthy, Mims
does Adam Gase have a job yet?
Nah, he's still collecting money from the Jets. He's probably fine. The last game he was healthy, he had like 3 catches for 73 yards, which under Gase, that seems like a lot. Like he can stretch the field. He can play in the NFL.
Devontae Parker never dreamed of that under Adam Gase.
I am excited for what the Jets will look like away from Adam Gase. I'm excited for what the NFL would look like away from Adam Gase.
Yes.
And I hope that Adam Gase, I wish him well moving forward.
He'll be a quarterback coach.
He needs to find something else to do other than NFL quarterbacks. We're up on an hour here, boys. I asked all of you, give me 1 minute of something you wanted to crack back on. Who wants to go first? Don't everybody jump at once here.
Not me.
You see, nobody does their homework, so it means I'll go first. My crackback is at Scotty Miller. Scotty, shut the fuck up. Scotty Miller said that he can take Tyreek Hill in a straight foot race. Well, I don't know about you, Enrique. You might be a little too young, but the other two gentlemen on here with me remembers when they used to have the Battle of the NFL Stars, where Darryl Green used to dust people. Dion won it a couple of times there. They need to bring that back. And even if it's just the two of them, I want to watch Tyreek Hill smoke Scotty Miller. Pull the Usain Bolt where he's looking at him in the last 10 yards and smiling at him, because there's no way Scotty Miller can run with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill could backpedal and beat him.
What's his 40 time?
Not Tyreek Hill.
Right now.
I don't even have to fucking look at it. I've seen both of them play for a couple of years.
Tyreek Hill is easily the fastest player in the league.
His fucking nickname's the Cheetah. You don't get a name, the Cheetah, the animal that you think, Sage, that you put in a cage that you'd be able to take out with your bare hands. The Cheetah. He is the fastest man to possibly ever play in the NFL.
Side note, Sage, I saw somebody that got shredded by a chainsaw recently. Just, their leg, just a little, like hit first, dug in, and then skip down their leg. It further illustrates to me that a cheetah would maul you and kill you with ease.
Hey, hold on. I need to make sure we mention this, because I did want Scotty Miller to talk his talk. And so both Tyreek Hill and Scotty Miller looks like they did not run on the combine. So these are all based off pro days. On both of their pro days, they got two different readings, the exact same, by the way. They both ran a 4.29 and a 4.39 back-to-back.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dead serious. I just looked
Where did Scotty Miller play?
Where
did Scotty Miller play in college?
Bowling Green.
So, no, the Bowling Green Pro Day is not the same. I know Tyreek Hill played for some bullshit college, but the Bowling Green Pro Day, there's like 5 people there. Nobody has a stopwatch. Nobody cares.
Yeah, that's in Wisconsin. They definitely don't have reliable timepieces.
What?
Tyreek Hill went to the University of West Alabama.
That's what I just said. I know he went to a bullshit college.
You know what you do in West Alabama when you're bored? You catch rabbits with your bare hands like they do in Pahokee. There is no way Scotty Miller.
This is reverse racism. This is reverse racism because he's white.
Absolutely not reverse racism. I'm going to give you a name right now you probably don't even know. Fastest white boy to ever play in the NFL. Tim Dwight. My boy, the Falcon, ran a touchdown back in the Super Bowl, was blazing fast, faster than Scotty Miller, but not as fast as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the fastest non-track athlete in America.
First of all, we're going to calm down with the white boy shit. That in itself is racist.
No, it is not. We can talk about that another time.
Yes, it is. Because I've played against a number of brothers, and unless you want to put the pads down and come at me, don't be saying no white boy shit.
I'll say white boy all I want. I've had worse shit tossed at me. I've had way worse shit tossed at me. So if you get offended by a white boy, that's you looking for something to get offended by. Scotty Miller cannot run as fast as Tyreek Hill. End of story.
Put the pads
I hope we get to find out, because the numbers show
that at our age, neither one of us wants to put any pads on. And fucking, I see Sage giggling in the bottom right there. That put the pads on line to set sail 15 years ago. Neither one of us is getting up from putting on any pads and walking the next day. So there, set sail.
I'm telling you right now, there's
no way. What about the leather helmet? What about the leather helmet?
No way this dude ran a 4.2940. There's no way.
That was a slow clock. That was a quick clock. That was somebody that wanted to boost his number. Bowling Green, come on, man.
What round did he get drafted in?
Find out.
If he was that blazing fast, he wouldn't have ended up at Bowling Green anyway. Tyreek Hill was at that bullshit school because he kept beating up his girlfriend.
Yeah, because he liked to beat on chicks.
That was
That was
not a skill move that had him down.
Every NFL team was still waiting to draft Tyreek Hill because he was running a 4.2. They just said, wow, are we going to draft this guy and he's going to start beating chicks? And yeah, they were right.
I don't know.
We're still waiting here, Enrique. You got
No,
dial-up?
because
You got dial-up freaking internet?
No, but like you're comparing film. I'm literally just talking about straight line speed, no pads on.
You're
But
also
no,
you're talking about numbers from a pro day,
at a
though.
pro day, they're just taking like
But the
they were
same
a
thing
stopwatch.
happened to
hand
him.
times.
But the same thing happened to both of them.
No.
None of them had
At
electric time.
At a pro day, they're taking hand times. At the combine, it's laser timed.
But he
That's
doesn't
why
have
the
a combine
combine-
time. Tyreek Hill does not have a 4.29 in the combine.
So anybody at the Bowling Green pro day can say, "Oh, look at Scotty Miller. He just ran a 4.2."
But the same thing could be said about the West Alabama pro day. Oh, look, Tyreek Hill ran a 4.2.
But you see Tyreek Hill in NFL games just running away from people, running away from the fastest people in the league, and they can't catch him. That's the difference.
I saw Scotty Miller run away from some people the last Tampa game. I'm just saying, don't
That was-
disrespect.
Scotty Miller was the same speed as Tyreek Hill.
That was because Mike Pettin put him number one-on-one against that dude number 20 who had already gotten dusted in the game. Mike Pettin, as you know, as a Jets fan, one of the worst defensive coaches ever.
Ever.
Put this guy in an NFC Championship game. If he is really that fast, put him one-on-one against some bum who already got burnt by somebody else in the game.
If they were
And-
comparable between the two of them, he wouldn't
I know
be
it's,
the fourth string wide receiver on Tampa. If he was as fast as Tyreek Hill, he wouldn't
Yeah,
be
if he's
fourth
really
string.
running a 4.2,
small.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
I know it's kind of like the bye week before the Super Bowl, but Tampa Bay had a lot of people who didn't practice today. JPP, Levante David. Who else? They had some linemen that didn't practice.
Is
But
there
that's going to even out.
There's
That'll even out the playing field though, because on two of the offensive linemen for KC, I know Fisher's probably out.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing is Fisher tore his Achilles, so he's done. He's not playing.
Oh, he tore it, so it's confirmed. Okay.
Enrique, put up your chart of left tackles in the Super Bowl.
Right. It's gonna be a very good experiment in terms of how much they really matter, because this guy's not just any left tackle; he's a number 1 overall pick from 2012 left tackle. By the way,
this game means nothing as far as how all-pro left tackles matter. They matter.
Yeah, the left tackle.
I mean, do they matter to the point that Mahomes is going to lose now? Is what I'm saying.
No, they'll be able to scheme around this, and if JPP and a couple of the pass rushers are a little slowed for Tampa, that'll even out the playing field a little bit. They just have too many weapons, and Mahomes is good enough; he'll be able to compensate and get them. Now, I'm just hoping for an entertaining Super Bowl. I'd like to see a 42-35 Super Bowl.
If you have a monster pass rush, it matters. They got JPP, they got
Shaq Barrett, who had 20 sacks.
What's his name?
Shaq Barrett.
Vatali Vai, whatever that guy's name is. Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, that's the interior.
The Giants Super Bowl versus the Patriots, they had Kiwanuka, Strahan, they had JPP. That was pretty much what won them the Super Bowl.
JPP had all 10 fingers then.
I went to an Eagles NFC Championship where the Eagles had Trey Thomas, who was an all-pro left tackle, and he was getting destroyed by Simeon Rice all night. So the pass rush is
And am I incorrect, or did Joey Bosa get banged up in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl? He was banged up because the Niners dominated.
You mean Nick Bosa?
Yeah, Nick Bosa. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, because the Niners dominated the first 3 quarters because the pass rush was getting to Mahomes like crazy.
The Bosas are always hurt.
So, I mean, I think that Shaq Barrett could do a little bit of what Bosa did last year.
If you see a Bosa, that Bosa is more than likely injured.
During the playoffs, I know Barrett put up a bunch of numbers last year, but during the playoffs this year, JPP has been the dominant pass rusher, even with 7 fingers.
Yeah, I think they both got 2
full
sacks.
7? I thought it was like, but a couple of them.
He has an interception.
So if we're
by
doing
the way,
the full math, wouldn't it be like 5.5?
It's like half the thumb and then the index finger here, and then
the index finger.
It actually allows him to get a more solid 3-point stance. I think it actually helps him.
It's like Dempsey, the old kicker with the club foot.
Yeah, he had the club foot, so he could hit a boot 60 yards. Dempsey,
and also 7-finger defensive end has more interceptions than Blitz Boy in Seattle, who's a safety. Just saying.
Well, we're going to end on the hate for Jamal Anderson. We're well over an hour. We will be back next week.
Jesus Christ.
Super Bowl's coming up. We'll have some more draft talk for you as well. There's always hate on Jamal Adams. We'll holla at you. Crackbacks.
We're not going to talk about space.